you're nervous, Antonio. I'm nervous, too. I'm always nervous when I open my defense. But you know what? We're starting out in really great shape. We've managed to rattle all of the prosecution.
Look, no, Dad did a really good job of tearing Andy apart. What if Hank does the same thing to us?
Well, he can try, but our witnesses are very solid.
Including me.
You know what I think about your testifying.
Well, I have to testify. That's why I didn't run. I have to take that stand and tell the truth.
Hello, Carlotta.
Laura, are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
I know you're going to do a great job. I have faith in you.
Thank you.
And you?
I wish I felt the same way about the jury.
Christian, they'll believe the truth when they hear it. Don't you think so, Taya?
It'll take some work, but we'll get them there.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Hey, honey.
Are you okay about this?
On what, testifying?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, I'm fine. I don't think Hank would be too happy if RJ's name comes out.
Did you get any more information out of Brazil about RJ's involvement?
No, nothing solid. I'm sorry. Hey, good luck, Antonio.
Well.
Oh, Cassie.
Hi.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
The morning edition is selling out.
Your story was awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Jess. I still can't believe Carlo has to have $30 million stashed away in that bank in Rio.
Yeah, he did.
Were you and Kevin really scared when that creep pulled a gun on you guys?
Honestly, we were terrified. And angry because he took off with the evidence that, related RJ to Carlo's money.
Evidence we could use right about now. So, where is Indiana Buchanan?
Oh, Kevin? Well, that's a good question. I was sure he'd be here.
I haven't seen him, Clint. I haven't seen him since he got off the plane.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi.
No, wait, good. I made you breakfast.
Cookies?
Yeah. Cupboards are empty, sorry. There you go. But I'm making some tea.
Oh.
Did you sleep okay?
Yeah, I had a bad dream, though. But then I woke up and realized I was safe. Thank you.
Couldn't let a frightened lady walk into the night all alone, could I?
In this dream, I was running down this black alley, and RJ and his goons were chasing after me.
So that's what you think then, Alex. And RJ killed Carlo, now he's after you.
Yeah. Especially since I went down to Rio to try to salvage Carlo's legacy. I know how you feel about Carlo. And God knows, he's made some terrible mistakes. But he loved me, and I loved him. And I was hoping we could reconcile. And when he died, the promise of my future died with him.
Yeah. So the countless victims. Let me get you some tea.
I'll get it.
What? No, I'm going to trouble yourself.
I'll get it.
Alex, please.
No, really. Hi.
Kevin.
Right this way, Miss Lord.
Thank you. Oh, no. No. I'm going to be joining Mrs. Carpenter.
Oh. Thank you. Good morning, Dorian.
Good morning. I'm sorry I'm running late.
Oh, I don't think you're late at all.
Good.
You all right?
I'll be fine just as soon as I've had some coffee. Thank you. I'm not really all that keen on breakfast meetings.
Well, I'm just glad that Dr. Doherty was able to reschedule so quickly.
No, indeed. Especially after standing us up the way he did. I mean, imagine, he'd barely arrived when he just upped and left.
Well, he has a job. He's president of the university, and things come up. But he was certainly gracious about it.
Yes. As were you, to include me. I'm very grateful to you.
Dorian, when will you understand? Star is family. She is your family and my family. Of course you have to be included.
I do wish there was some way we could leave Todd out of the loop.
I don't think that's a very practical suggestion, considering that it is his money that is going to fund this research project.
which, if it is successful, means he will have saved his daughter's life.
Oh.
What are you doing here?
Was that what it looked like?
Not even remotely, Kevin.
I see. Alex must be walking in her sleep again. I mean, that would explain why she's in your apartment in her nightie.
Well, that would make more sense than the truth. The truth being that RJ and Alex were in Rio trying to get their hands on Carlo's bank account.
What?
Yes. And Bo asked me to keep an eye on her to see if she knows anything, so I flew back with her to Landview.
And you kept an eye on her all night, right?
She slept on the couch, alone, Kevin.
Okay.
She was frightened of going back to her own place because she thought that RJ might be there.
Well, I guess I can't hide out here forever, can I?
Are you sure you're all right?
Yes, thank you. And if I get too afraid, I can remember that quote that you gave me from Macbeth.
Knock, knock, who's there?
No. Something about how you have to screw your courage to a sticking point or something like that.
Something like that. I can give you a call later if you'd like. Check on you.
Would you? Thank you. Oh. Thank you.
Bye, Grandma.
You can call me Alex, Kev.
I see.
I see. She was upset, so you read her a bedtime story from Macbeth.
No. The reason I used Macbeth was to show the fear of if... Never mind. Why am I explaining to you?
You don't have to. Look, just back up that story to Rio again, okay? So you're telling me that RJ and Alex both show up to get their hands on Carlo Hesser's money, and this is after Cassie and I leave?
Ms. Soto, could you describe what life was like in Angel Square before the defendant, Antonio Vega, returned to live there?
People were afraid all the time. There were gangs on the streets. I mean, kids with guns. There were drugs everywhere.
The defendant was the leader of one of these gangs once, wasn't he?
That's right. He was called El Leon, and everybody looked up to him.
And when he returned to Angel Square, did he become El Leon again?
Well, we thought he had, but really he was working for the police undercover. He was working to help bust a cop who was trying to sell guns to the kids in the hood. And he was also able to get the two rival gangs, the Prides and the Arrows, to call a permanent truce.
And that happened?
Yes. We all became esperanzas. That means hope. And that's what Mr. Vega gave us.
You're not with the gang anymore, are you?
I'm with the police department. Does that count?
Mrs. Ramirez, could you repeat that?
I say that they're going to desahuciar. ¿Cómo se dice?
Evict you.
Yes, evict me. Until Senor Vega, he gives me the money so I could stay in my home.
The money is a loan, a préstamo?
No, un préstamo, un regalo, a gift. That's the kind of person he is.
Were you and your partner nervous when you moved into the neighborhood?
Yes. I'm gay. Some people have a problem with gays. And Sandy had AIDS.
So did the community shun you?
No. Because of Antonio Vega. He welcomed us like a brother. He even help raise money for Sandy's medical treatment.
Would you like to stop for a moment, Mr. Ruiz?
No. I want to thank Antonio for making Sandy's final days more comfortable. It's a gift without a price. I don't know how to repay it.
No further questions.
Mr. Gannon? Your Honor, I have no questions for this witness. You may step down.
Thank allowing these people to speak without cross-examining them.
Because they've touched the jury. And if he challenges them, he'll come off like a bully.
And you're sure that's the only reason your brother went to work for Carlo Hesser?
Yes, that was the only reason. Antonio knew how much it meant to me to go to college, so he made that happen for me.
By working for a man he despised. And how did you feel about that?
Well, I didn't know at first that I had a Carlo Hesser scholarship. And when I found out, I hated it. And I told him to quit, so, well, I think by that time, he was beginning to feel trapped, so.
And how did you feel when you learned that he was actually working against Carlo Hesser, spying on him for the police?
If it meant that someday he could get away from Carlo, that was fine with me. The one thing I could never understand was, why? Why would Antonio want to do the cops, the DA, or anybody a favor? They never give him a fair shake. And now here he is again, on trial for a crime he didn't commit.
Objection!
Sustained. The jury will disregard Mr. Vega's last statement.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Gannon?
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Vega, you may step down.
Nice job.
Thanks. Do you think it'll help?
Oh, I think the jury wants to believe that Antonio's innocent. Of course, if that's true, we gotta hand him a real shooter. Someone with motive and opportunity.
Vicky, I told you this is my show, this is my money.
And your daughter, I understand it. But your daughter is also related to Dorian, and she wants to help.
Whatever. Where's Doherty?
That's what I was starting to wonder.
I'm worried that the university's going to have trouble kicking in a high gear with such a major research
Well,
project.
come on now. They certainly have the facilities. If Dr. Doherty agrees to the commitment, then it's just a question of time.
Well, I don't have a lot of time. I'll find a cure for aplastic anemia before my daughter needs a bone marrow transplant.
Edward, good morning.
Victoria. Hello, Mrs. Lord.
Dr. Doherty. Thank you so much for joining us. May I introduce my brother, Todd Manning.
Hi, how you doing?
I must say that Todd has already done quite a bit of research on this project.
Yeah, I think that the university should have a big, a conference.
I'm sorry, Mr. Manning, but I'm afraid we have a problem.
About the money, forget it. I'm taking care of the bill, and if you're worried about space or staff support, I can provide both. I can transfer some personnel over from the Sun, and I can clear out a couple of floors of the Manning building.
That's not the problem I'm talking about, Mr. Manning.
All right, then what is the problem?
When your sister talked to me about your proposal, I went to my board for advice. Two of the members of the board had concerns, not about the project itself, but about the financing of such a venture.
My brother just said he's willing to assume the cost of the entire project.
He's worried about what it's going to look like if Landview University hops into bed with the devil, Todd Manning.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. He didn't mean anything.
That's exactly what he means. Why don't you tell her that that's exactly what you mean? And then you can tell her why you think it's a good idea for my daughter to die for my sins.
Mr. Buchanan, you're certain it was R.J. Gannon that you saw on the deck?
With all that hair, how could you miss him?
And he was standing in the doorway back by where the ship's main fuse box was?
See, I didn't know all about that till later, but yes, that's where I saw him.
After you saw R.J. Gannon, what happened then?
Well, I was going up the stairs and all the lights went out.
Mr. Buchanan, did you see Mr. Gannon actually throw the switch?
No, but like I said, I was moving the other way. But it had to be a second, and boom, they were gone.
So no one else but Mr. Gannon would have the time to kill the lights?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation.
Sustained.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross, Mr. Gannon.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Buchanan, when you saw R.J. Gannon on the deck, what were you doing there?
I was going up there to get my gun back.
Your gun?
Yes, my ex-wife, Renee, found out that I brought a gun with me. She got a little jumpy. So to get her off my back, I stowed it away in one of the vents.
And why did you need a gun, Mr. Buchanan?
Why? Because I don't feel dressed without one.
Thank you. No further questions.
Mrs. Buchanan, redirect.
Yes, please, Your Honor. Mr. Buchanan, let's talk about this gun of yours. Do you have a license to carry it?
Yes, I do.
And you jokingly said that it completed your ensemble. I'm sure it did. Why did you exactly bring that gun that night?
Because that scum Hesser tried to kill me before. I knew he'd be at the party. I just wanted to be prepared, that's all.
Your gun, is it the same caliber and model as the gun that's identified here as the murder weapon?
No, it is not. Mine is a .32.
Thank you, Mr. Buchanan. That'll be all.
You may step down.
Thank you.
Nice save. Let's hope so.
Mrs. Buchanan?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense would like to recall the witness, R.J. Gannon.
Thank you. So, you're sitting in Banco de Rio and R.J. shows up. Then what?
This Ferrigno guy had disappeared. And so did $30 million belonging to Carlo Hesser. Apparently somebody opened a secret bank account in Switzerland.
Oh. And so that's when Alex shows up.
Right, just in time to see the money disappear. And RJ and Alex went at it, both of them thinking that the other one was a thief. And then Alex said that RJ was the one that killed Carlo.
So you call the cops?
Well, yes, but see, Bo had already talked to the police over there, so I just had to make a phone call. The police came and escorted RJ back to the airport.
And then you fly back to Landview with Alex because Bo asks you to stay in her tail, so to speak.
Can you have a conversation with me without smirking?
I'm sorry, I just couldn't help myself. Look, that guy with the feathers and the gun, the one who stole the evidence from Cassie and I, did you ever find out who he was working for? Was it this Ferrigno guy?
I don't know. RJ, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Thank you, though, again, for showing up when you did.
Always glad to help.
Good. In that case, I have another favor to ask you. Don't look at me like that. Look, do me a favor. Keep it under your hat that Cassie and I were sort of forced to share the same hotel room. Look, you know how it was. It was Carnival. We had no other choice, and people just like to misconstrue things.
Sure they do. Yeah. We all had a strange adventure down there, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we're still no closer to proving that RJ killed Carlo.
Mr. Gannon, in your previous testimony, why didn't you tell the court that you'd been part of Carlo Hesser's plan to disappear?
Because I wasn't.
Oh, well, then I guess Mr. Buchanan perjured himself when he said he saw you next to the fuse box before the blackout.
No, I was there.
Doing what, Mr. Gannon?
I thought it was just a prank.
What was, Mr. Gannon?
Turning out the lights. Carlo asked me to do it, so I did it. That's all there was to it.
So you were just following orders. So are you seriously expect us to believe that? To the contrary, Mr. Gannon, you were intimately involved in Carlos Hesser's plan to disappear. A plan that, as an added bonus, made it look as if Antonio Vega had killed his boss.
Objection, Your
I'll
Honor.
rephrase. Mr. Gannon, you didn't know that if Carlo Hesser had been killed and Antonio was blamed, it was because Mr. Hesser himself set up things to make it look that way?
No.
Ah, but you were aware of $30 million that Mr. Hesser had socked away in a bank account in Rio. Isn't that why you went to Brazil with Mr. Hesser's power of attorney?
We had business interests there, as I've testified before.
Yes, and your profit margin would have soared if you had been able to buy out your partner. But Mr. Hesser wouldn't sell, would he? No, Mr. Hesser had plans to disappear, leaving all of you in the dark, including you, when you switched the lights out. And you had to act fast, so you could take advantage of Mr. Hesser's getaway plans. What did he have in line? Hang glider, jet skis?
As I've said before, if Carlo was planning to disappear from the Orion, I have no idea how he planned to do it.
No, of course not. Your only job was to turn out the lights by pulling the trigger.
Look, I didn't kill Carlo.
Objection!
Your Honor, I am trying to get the truth out of this man. He has lied over and over again.
Objection, Your Honor.
I have no further questions.
He did it. He made him look like the shooter.
I certainly hope the jury bought it.
Are you kidding? Look at them. They ate it up.
Mr. Gannon. Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Mr. Gannon, do I have this right? The money that you knew about in Carlo's account in Rio, this was investment capital belonging to the two of you?
Yes, that's right. That's why Carlo gave me his power of attorney. And, well, after Carlo was killed, I wanted to release his share to his estate, but the bank in Brazil was dragging its feet, so I had to fly down there to see what was going on.
I see. And what did you learn when you got there?
The funds had been stolen, transferred to an anonymous account in a Swiss bank. By whom? I don't know.
So, Mr. Gannon, have you benefited at all from Carlo's death?
Look at this suit. He left me a bunch of headaches. That's about it.
I see. And the man he did mention in his will, Antonio Vega, did Mr. Hesser ever hint that he was trying to frame Mr. Vega by faking his own death, making it look like Mr. Vega did it?
No. Look, I said it before, I'll say it again. Carlo asked me to help him play a prank. So I doused the lights at the party that night. Now, if that made it easier for the killer to get close to him, I'm sorry. But I was in the dark just like everyone else. I have done nothing wrong.
Thank you, Mr. Gannon.
You may step down. Mrs. Buchanan.
Your Honor, the defense would like to call Commissioner Beau Buchanan, and I'd like permission to treat him as a hostile witness, please.
Permission granted.
Thank you.
Hello, stranger.
Hi. No idea how much I missed you.
Yeah, well then, why didn't you come see me? I thought you got in last night.
I did. It's a long, strange story. How's Star?
She's holding her own for now. How was Rio?
It's part of the long and strange story. Let me get you a cup of tea and I'll tell you everything.
Okay. Was the weather nice?
To tell you the truth, I have no idea. You hungry?
I'm assuming this is part of your long, strange story.
Mr. Manning, let me explain.
I don't need for you to explain anything.
Well, I'm sorry, I do. I don't understand this at all. Do you seriously mean that the university would give up this kind of an opportunity to be at the forefront of medical research?
According to my board members, there could be an ugly reaction on campus once people realize the source of the funding.
Well, I'm sorry, but the source of the funding is ultimately my family's money, which was honestly earned.
Yes, but donated by your brother, a man who committed a terrible crime while he was a student at the university.
Look, we all know what happened, all right? This is not about me. This is about my daughter. And all the people like her who have this disease. Now, they haven't done anything. Now, why would you want to punish them?
Mr. Manning, I agree with you. But two of the members of the board feel that you have disgraced the university and that accepting your money would only revive that scandal.
Edward, would you do this much for me? Would you talk to the two board members and see if they will agree to have lunch with me? Perhaps I can say something to get them to change their minds.
Well, it's certainly worth a try. I'll have them give you a call.
Please, and thanks.
Mr. Manning, I'm truly sorry about this, but perhaps we can work something out.
Right.
Mrs. Lord?
Goodbye. I told you this would happen. if Todd got involved.
RJ, why aren't we in Switzerland playing with that money that you stole with Carlos?
Alex, you were there at the bank with me when we found out the money was gone.
Well, I don't believe that, and neither did the police. You should never have double-crossed me. Now you are in big trouble.
It's the story of my life.
You're not going to get away with killing my husband.
Alex, I did not kill Carlo. I may have wanted him gone, but I did not send him on his way.
So, Commissioner Buchanan, Mr. Vega has worked for the department before, correct?
That's right.
The first time, Mr. Vega helped the department nail a rogue cop who was selling stolen guns to the kids in Angel Square?
Yes.
That's right. And he did a good job, too. I mean, you recently used him again, so you must trust him.
Yes.
And yet the first time that he worked for you, didn't you accuse Mr. Vega himself of being the one to sell those guns?
Yes, I'm afraid that's true.
Were those charges unfounded?
Yes, they were. I made a mistake.
But at the time, you were certain that Mr. Vega was guilty. Why?
Because the rogue cop that you mentioned earlier, Nick Manzo, had framed Antonio Vega.
You mean he planted evidence to make Mr. Vega look guilty?
Yes.
Was Mr. Vega vindicated?
Yes, he was, and Nick Manzo, the officer involved, was arrested, and he's serving time right now.
So, Mr. Vega was cleared. And a year or so later, you needed him again. You needed to get information about what Carlo Hesser was up to, so you asked Mr. Vega to help you again?
No. This time he volunteered.
He did? Wouldn't spying on Carlo Hesser put him in personal danger?
I believe that it would have. I believe that Carlo Hesser would have retaliated had he found out what Antonio was doing.
But Mr. Vega decided to take the risk and help the LPD.
Yes.
In the videotape that Mr. Hesser made, he accused the defendant, Antonio Vega, of stealing from him. Did you ever find any evidence to support that charge?
No, we didn't.
So as far as you know, Mr. Vega never profited in any way from his undercover work?
Beyond what Carlo Hesser was paying him, no.
Did you profit, Commissioner Buchanan, having an informant inside Hesser's organization?
Yes. Antonio gave us a tip that proved a connection between Carlo Hesser and an international terrorist known as Poseidon. As it turned out, in fact, they were one and the same, so we were planning on arresting Carlo Hesser the night that he was murdered.
And even with Mr. Vega under arrest, did you continue this investigation of other suspects?
Recently, we've been watching the activities of R.J. Gannon.
And this investigation of R.J. Gannon, is it ongoing?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Buchanan. Let me see if I can sum up your testimony here. The defendant, Antonio Vega, helps you out by helping the department nail a dirty cop. And then you need him again to prove that Carlo Hesser is Poseidon, so the defendant, Antonio Vega, helps you yet again. And then, as a reward, the Landview Police Department turns on him once more and charges him with another crime he didn't commit, while you're secretly, or quietly, I should say, investigating another suspect, R.J. Gannon.
Objection, Your Honor.
Mrs. Buchanan, this is not the time for closing arguments. Objection sustained.
No further questions.
Mr. Gannon.
Thank you, Your Honor. Commissioner, on the basis of the evidence, not a hunch, not conjecture, who would you say killed Carlo Hesser? R.J. Gannon, me, defense counsel, Mickey Mouse?
At this time, all the evidence points to Antonio Vega.
So there I am in Rio, spying on RJ and Alex. They're going at it like cats and dogs in public.
And Alex's bra.
Oh, that must have come off later, once I escorted her back to Landview.
I mean, back to your garret, to be precise.
I told you she couldn't go home because she was frightened that RJ might be out there somewhere.
Right, so she stayed with her big, strong protector.
No, she stayed with an unarmed Irish poet, and once she realized that, which was this morning, she left.
Mm-hmm. And she left a little memento. I'm surprised. I just never thought you'd go for Alex.
Well, you're right. And there's not a woman in the world can hold a candle to you.
Yeah. I'm lucky I believe you.
So you're saying I screwed up this deal? There wouldn't be a deal without me, Dorian. It's my money.
Which no self-respecting scientist would accept once he knew the source.
Would you two please stop bickering? You're forgetting what's important.
Yes, indeed. What's important is Star. Star, who will always be penalized for the rest of her life because this man is her father.
That's not helping.
I should have stayed with my original idea, you know, a front-page contest of the Sun.
Oh, come on. All that did was attract a bunch of quacks.
Yeah, well, who cares? I could have stumbled onto something. What's Dr. Doherty done for me lately?
Well, he hasn't closed the door completely, has he? I can still talk to these board members.
Oh, Vicky, what good will that do? They've already made up their minds.
Well, we don't know that for sure, do we? Let me at least try. Look, why don't we agree to meet here at lunch? Unless you hear from me, all right? I'm going to see what I can do.
Commissioner, do you admire Antonio Vega?
Yes, he's worked very hard to turn his life around.
And why did you arrest him?
Because there was evidence that we couldn't ignore.
A mountain of evidence.
A lot of evidence. His palm print was on the murder weapon. There were fibers under Carlo Hesser's fingernails.
His fibers had matched Mr. Vega's tuxedo, suggesting a struggle.
Yes, and there was also the bloody shirt that Antonio tried to burn. Later, this shirt was identified as being one exactly like the one that Antonio had on the night of the murder.
But did Mr. Vega have any reason to be angry at Carlo Hesser the night of the murder?
Yes, he did. Carlo had injured a good friend of Antonio's, Andy Harrison.
I see. And at some point during the night, was Mr. Vega at the murder scene?
He was seen coming down the gangplank.
And on the basis of this evidence, you arrested Mr. Vega.
That's right.
Now, Commissioner, you also testified that you were keeping an eye on R.J. Gannon. Do you have sufficient evidence to release Antonio Vega and charge R.J. Gannon instead?
No.
Is there any sufficient evidence to bring charges against anybody but Antonio Vega?
No.
And does any evidence suggest that the charges against Mr. Vega are false?
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no more questions for you.
The court will take a brief recess.
All right.
So, there you are alone with Alex, a long flight back from Rio.
You'd think she'd run out of conversation, but she kept talking about herself, and that seems to be an inexhaustible subject.
As was Alex, perhaps, last night when you brought her back here?
Oh, please, I told you, I locked myself in the room.
Shouldn't you get that? I mean, that might be Alex, finally realizing she's forgotten a little something.
Vicky! Oh, Marty, I'm glad you're here.
Hi, come on in.
Boy, that's quite a climb. Thank you. Hello, Patrick.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I actually didn't come to see you. I came to see Marty. Honey, I have a favor to ask you, and I'm afraid it's an awfully big one.
Hank. Later, Bo.
I guess Bo did everything he could.
He certainly tried.
Well, whether he tried or not, he hurt our case. I mean, I was looking at the jury, and even Mrs. Oltl, who always gives me these small little supportive smiles, she couldn't even look at me after Hank got done with Bo.
Now, are you ready for me to take the stand?
If you're asking me, I still say no. You slip up once, and you could land yourself in jail for life.
Is that what you think?
No. I think if you get up there and you're honest, the jury will believe you're telling the truth.
Hey, Kevin.
Where you been? Following up on Rio with Patrick Thornhart. I found out that Alex and RJ were both there after Cassie and I left.
You know what they were doing?
Yeah, they were after Carlo Hesser's private bank account. However, our man Ferrigno had already disappeared along with the money in the account.
Well, that sounds like quite a follow-up story. You and Cassie want to write it?
No, I'm just going to let Cass keep on writing it as she has been. Probably do a better job that way. Patrick said just call him if you have any details that you want to freshen up, okay?
Right. I'm gonna get right on it.
Well, I got to meet with some union reps.
Okay.
See you later.
All right.
Thought you were gonna call me.
Well, I thought it'd be a better idea just to stop by the office and watch you work.
Well, the witnesses that I've called have already testified. Nora's doing the rest. You missed me. I guess you'll have to catch me later.
Nora finally agreed.
She's gonna let you testify.
Which means she must be desperate.
No. No, this just means that you finally get the chance to tell the truth.
Yeah, I know. But Andy, what if I take that stand and spill my guts and nobody believes me? I think that's what I've been afraid of this whole time. That's why I burned the shirt. That's why I ran.
That courtroom is full of people who believe in you. Your mother, your brother, everybody who testified in your behalf, even both.
Yeah, but they know me. The jury doesn't.
Well, now they'll get to know you. Because you're going to testify. You can finally tell your story.
Andy, can I talk to you for a second?
Yeah, sure.
I'll see you inside.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Oh, thanks for standing up for me.
All I did was tell the truth.
So, what's up?
I've just had this feeling for the past couple of days. It's really been bothering me. It's like we're missing something, Andy. Something really obvious, but something big. Now, RJ just testified that he didn't know how Carlo was going to make his getaway.
Yeah, actually, the LPD couldn't figure that one out either. I mean, we checked out the airlines, bus, train stations, car rentals, nothing.
Yeah, but what about a boat? There were people on the Orion that said they heard a speedboat just before the lights went out.
Yeah, actually several people did, even Hank. We did check that out, though, and, you know, even if there was a boat on the water that night, we didn't find it. And then when Antonio got arraigned, we stopped looking.
Well, we got to start looking again, because that could have been what Carlo used for his getaway. Or maybe somebody on the boat saw the shooting, or maybe whoever was on the boat is the real killer.
Oh, Bo, that's really a long shot.
Yeah, but I think we've got to take it. We've got to do something. We're wasting a lot of time. Now, I want to check with every marina, every dealer, sales, rentals, everything. Whatever it takes, I want to find out everything we can about that boat.
All right, but look, do I have to do it now? Antonio's about to take the stand, and I told him I'd be there for him.
Do you want to give him moral support, or do you want to save his life?
State your name.
Antonio Vega.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.